Hey guys, welcome to Scum and Villainy, the Star Wars Legion show, where every episode we have a brand new guest on. That guest brings along a commander or an operative, and we talk about that commander or operative and then build an 800-point list around them. Joining me for this, I think episode number 4, I'm pretty sure it's episode number 4, is somebody I know from the MCP side. He's been part of the Discord for quite some time. He submits quite a few entries into our MCP painting competitions every week or so, whenever we end up doing them. But it is Pompey Painter, aka Jack. Jack, how you doing, buddy? You okay?
Yeah, doing good, doing good. Glad to be here.
Excellent. Well, no, thank you for reaching out and offering to come on. It's always good to have new people on. I mean, you know, from my MCP stuff, you know, I have a lot of Quinn, and actually,
Yeah.
Quinn doesn't play Legion. It's been quite nice. Now, for any Legion
Have a
watchers,
break.
you may not even know who Quinn is, but we love him from the MCP side. But it's nice to have other people on as well. So who have you brought for us then to talk about and go through today?
Anybody that knows me, it'd be no surprise that we're bringing Jyn Erso.
Excellent. I do love Jin. I can't pretend to say that I've played with her much in this game, and that's purely because I'm really just getting back into it, and I'm not playing Rebels. I'm really playing more either Empire or Scum and Villainy, my sort of main affiliation at the moment. But what's the love of Jin then? Why is she so sort of beloved in your eyes? What do you really like about her?
It's the versatility. You can have her as a support character, or she can be in the mix of it. Um, there's nothing that she really can't manage. So I've had her take on Vader and come out on top, or she's just pinged off the last wound on R2 to stop a secret mission. You know, there's no middle ground with her. It's all or nothing, and she excels at both ends of that spectrum. If you've just got her sat back, she's just a Courage 3 bubble, and if she's up at the front, then she's killing things, and it's yeah,
Excellent, and
it's
I
fun.
I do love anyone that can kill things. There's
Yeah,
one
exactly.
there's one thread that sort of weaves its way through no matter what game I play, and it is I like murdering things.
That's it.
So anyone that can do that is good in my eyes. Well, let's just take a quick look at her card then, Jack. So obviously, Gina, so she has for anyone that's seen Rogue One, obviously Stardust, which I think is the nickname her dad gave her, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Which was also then the secret file name for the Death
for
Star, I believe. Is
yeah,
that,
that's
yeah?
it.
Really? It's been a while since I've watched Rogue One. So she has 6 maximum wounds, as you mentioned there. She's got that 3 courage. She is only white defensive die, but she does have that surge to block. She's got a surge to crit, which is, you know, never a bad thing. And then she's got some quite nice keywords and text on her card as well. So for an action, she's obviously got quick thinking, so gain 1 aim and 1 dodge. Danger Sense 4, which I didn't even realise until just looking at her card that there was a character with Danger Sense 4. I'd seen 3, I think, but yeah,
Yeah,
didn't realise that 4. Infiltrate, which is obviously very nice. Nimble and Sharpshooter. And then she's got that collapsible Tomper, giving her 4 black dice in melee, but then no ranged attacks, and I gather we'll come on to that with the armaments. So
absolutely.
she's got a command slot, a training slot, a gear slot, and then as we mentioned, that armament slot. So let's go through sort of how important you think each of those parts are to her sort of build out. So that quick thinking, for example, you know, is that do you find that when you're using her in that offensive way, that's really a key trait that she's got?
Yeah, I mean it's because she is still white dice, and white dice will fail you. The quick thinking just helps boost her. Once you get her lodged in that position where she's in heavy cover, she's got shots, and she's going to take shots. Quick thinking just keeps her alive, but keeps her dice still potent.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't use it in the early game as much, unless she is just waiting for that time to jump out. She'd like quick thinking and dodge, or I'll double move her up. Um, but yeah, it's once she's in place on that objective, that's when she really brings that keyword out.
Yeah, and the infiltrate then. Do you often, are you finding yourself you're using that a lot with her, or is it not something you use?
When I first started playing her, nearly 3 years ago, I've been playing her now. I used to put her straight in the middle, and yeah, no, dead turn two. So don't do like I use it as a small recon intel sort of things, just to get her into cover, just outside deployment.
Yeah,
There's a couple of fringe cases where you will put her on the middle box on recover, and that is usually when you're up against someone else who's trying to infiltrate.
I gather. Yeah, I gather if you're coming up against an Iden or somebody like that, and
Yeah,
you actually want to use her infiltrate, less as getting her up, but more taking up the space that your opponent
that's it.
could
Yeah,
potentially infiltrate in. So yeah, no,
exactly.
that makes sense.
So Cad Bane is everywhere at the moment. You can put Spoken down on the middle point, and basically what I do is I drop her on, trigger the Cad Bane. He then pops up, and then I try and out. He's played his 3-pip, so I can then out pip him
Yeah.
and run off with the box before he can, sort of thing. And those are usually the only times you aggressively infiltrate. Outside of that, just don't.
No, it makes sense because why it's a bit different if it's somebody with heavy armor or sorry, I always say armor and I don't mean the keyword armor, but rolling those red dice is a little bit different. But even with surge to block, you say those white dice will let you down. I've learned that the hard way. I know it's a little bit unconventional, but let's start from the bottom up then in terms of her upgrades that we can take with her, because I'm assuming we're not just going to run her with those four black melee dice. So
No.
she's got two options, hasn't she? She's got the A180 that has it's a double-sided card, isn't it? So it's a pistol config or rifle config, and then she's got her sort of dedicated weapon, which is the SE14 blaster. Which one of those two are you tending to go with?
Always slap on the A180.
Yeah.
The only fringe case is if you take her in skirmish, maybe take the 5 white dice just to really punch above her weight a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm quite partial to a range 3 hero that can just snipe off a couple of wounds here and there.
I love Bosk, so I mean you're speaking right up my street.
Exactly. There you go.
And she carries that suppressive through, doesn't she? Is that right? Into the weapon that she brings as well in the.
No, that's just on the Tonfa. So
it's just on the Tonfa. Okay,
Yeah.
Good to know. That is good to know. Okay, cool. So and then what are you? I gather, depending on whether you infiltrate her forward or not, may have an impact on which config you start off in. But what's your sort of thoughts around that? Where do you start, and what are the various different scenarios that would make you choose the rifle over the pistol?
I have never played her with the pistol.
Okay.
I just don't. I don't see. You've got the same odds to crit essentially, because there's 1 crit on each dice. There's 1 surge on each dice. I think that's right. There's probably someone shout if not.
No, I think you're right. I think it's just the hits that change, isn't it? Yeah.
So 9 times out of 10, you're going to shoot into cover, or you're shooting out in the open. Sharpshooter's helping you out get that open shot. So black dice, they're fine.
Yeah.
She is just there to throw suppression, take a wound here and there. I usually use her as a finisher more than someone who's going to punch a wound in straight away.
Yeah.
So getting the longer range, I find you can keep her out of danger longer than feeling the temptation of running her straight into range 2, where everything then has range on you.
Well, especially with some of the gun lines that you see at the moment, you're coming up against Black Suns or something like that, and you look at a full squad of those with a Vigo and maybe even with an extra personnel in there as well, and they're throwing 14 dice at you or whatever it is, and half of them are white, but they're gonna hurt. So that makes perfect sense. Command slot then, is there anything that goes into her from a command slot perspective?
Always vigilance.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other way. You could probably take Inspiring Presence if you're just using her as a range 3 bubble, but because she's got nimble, 100% take vigilance. She's usually paired with things that take dodges or have nimble themselves, with rebel troopers and rebel veterans. So it's a good idea to keep them things around.
It's definitely become a very, very popular card, hasn't it?
Yeah,
Since its
definitely.
release, I think nearly every person on so far has put vigilance on something somewhere in the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, not surprising. What about training? Are you putting any training on her at all?
Yeah, I mean, I usually run Jin with every single slot filled. She runs at 102 points for me. So in the training, I put situational awareness,
Nice.
and with the danger sense, the temptation is to go duck and cover, but then you're loading her up with 2 suppression after that attack, and then if you've got someone suppressive shooting you, then in one attack she's got 3 suppression, and she's now losing an action. So I usually like to take situational, and then you can just start cancelling crits in your heavy cover, and then on a 3-pip you're getting low profile, so you're cancelling 4,
Yeah.
and it just keeps her alive so much better.
No, I get I get the mentality behind that. That makes absolute sense. Well, you've sort of already given it away in terms of that something is going in there.
It is.
But what is going in there in the equipment slot then?
Yeah, so it's prepared supplies.
Nice.
Very new card, but with nimble, once you spend that dodge, it then comes onto your character, and then vigilance keeps it there. So she starts
Keeps
the
it there
game.
continuously.
Yeah, exactly. She has a dodge all game.
Yeah.
And with situational, a clone sniper or a droid sniper or something that isn't high velocity shoots you, I'll dodge that off. That's fine.
Yeah, and it's really weird to think that. So you're, as you mentioned there, she's coming in at 102 points, and she's like, okay, you could add more points in there by swapping out the A180 for the other weapon, but even fully loaded, she is still now 28 points less than what her naked card was when she first came out.
Exactly.
So that gives everyone an idea as to how maybe unbalanced and unfair her points were when she
she ate up
first
a lot
came
of
out.
your list.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why she's easier to run now, because you add on what you've got there on top of it, and it would have been 150-ish point, 142 points or whatever it is. So
nearly an Anakin.
well, yeah, I mean at that, but you're getting into Force user territory there,
Exactly,
aren't you?
yeah.
And I think I was speaking to, I can't remember who it was I was speaking to about it, but having a good commander for around about 100. 100 points is not to be sniffed at in this game.
Absolutely.
Yes, they're not going to be able to do as much offensively as a Force user, but actually 100 points for what she can do is really, really good. Cool. So, what else then are we looking at when it comes to the rest of the roster? Is she and I always say roster because I'm an MCP boy at heart. I mean 800 point list. Is she a lone commander in there, or are you taking somebody else alongside her for a command slot?
I mean, the list that I would be building now, she's lone agent. She goes off on her own. I have played her with Han and Chewie to get the teamwork chain going.
Okay.
And then with up close and personal, you can get about 5 or 6 dodges on her in one turn.
Yeah.
Same with the Cassian and K2 combo, but no, I usually take her on her own and just put her into a list, and then she's keeping everyone in check.
Excellent.
It's just
I like it. I like it. Any operatives that are going in there then?
I usually stick R2 in.
Okay.
Just because it's R2. He's a walking victory point.
Is he bringing his trusty companion, or is he leaving it at home?
He's living La Vida Loca. He's completely naked.
Yeah, which is I don't know. I don't want to be disparaging towards C3PO in this game, but yeah, maybe that is the best way to keep him. And as you say, a walking victory point, because that combination of secret mission and inconspicuous is just really good.
It just makes people want to shoot him and not her.
I suppose, shoot
her and not him.
Yeah. Either way, one of them's getting some VPs. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So, and is that it for operatives? There's no more.
That's
more
everybody.
For that one?
Keep that light.
Excellent. Let's go on to the core units then. So you've got a couple of different options now in there. What are you starting off with?
So for this list, it would be just 3 rebel troopers as your sort of objective grabbers.
Yep.
Just stay out of sight all game, and then jump out and be a nuisance
Okay.
on the objectives. But then we'll add a fourth one in some fleet troopers.
Oh, okay.
We are going to stack them up with a scattergun, an extra fleet trooper, and impact grenades.
I like it. I like it. Up close and personal.
Exactly, yeah. Like, this list sort of lacks that big punch into something like an AAT or a saber tank or something like that. So just to be able to get some fleets in, chuck them up, and then whack something as hard as you can. I mean, you go to Impact 5, Pierce 1.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nice. Like,
Absolutely.
It's one-shot AT-RT, and it's really... I think it's even taken out land speeders. Just with one hit. Like...
So the three troopers are naked, and then on the fleet troopers we've got scattergun, an extra fleet trooper, did you say, and then fragmentation grenades?
That's the one. Impact grenades.
Impact grenades.
Impact,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'm glad I checked. Yeah, and as you mentioned, obviously, and it makes sense now because I was wondering how does that work. But yeah, obviously with that impact, being able to take out those armored targets is not a bad thing. And the fact that it's a dice pooling game, so you only need to have one of your characters actually forfeit and take the single black die, but yet everybody else gets the benefit is it's quite nice. It is quite nice.
I mean, normally they just throw out 12 dice, so
yeah.
Something's going to die. Hopefully.
Well, yeah, especially with those extra 2 red dice from the scattergun trooper as well, and playing Black Suns and putting that scattergun trooper into the Black Suns at the moment, it's just devastating. It's just utterly devastating. It's just even if they are white, you're just rolling so many dice in total that. Yeah, these range 2 gun lines at the moment are a little bit crazy. Cool. So they're your 4 core. Is there any other cores, or is that it for the moment?
That is. I will make a point for veterans though, because I have been running a veterans list.
Okay.
Because you can build around her 2-pip, that gives you teamwork.
Yeah.
You just play it on a rebel veteran, and then instantly they get a dodge. She gets a dodge. So there's synergy there if you did want to take that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, on to Special Forces. Are we taking any Special Forces with us?
We are taking 3 of them. And we're taking Wookiee Warriors.
Nice. Which version of the Wookiee Warriors?
We are taking the up-close personal stabby Wookiees.
Nice. With the, is it the Reek Blade? The Reich Blade, I think. I'm sure it's pronounced Reich Blade, maybe.
Reich or Reek or
and
something.
three of those, you say?
3 of those, all with bowcaster.
Nice.
And all with tenacity.
Brilliant. Absolutely love it. Love it.
Ideal scenario is you take a wound on the way in, and you're 9 dice when you hit into somebody.
Which, and realistically, if Wookiees are getting ready to run up towards a unit, they probably are going to take a little bit of damage on the way in because people are going to be a little bit scared of them charging towards them. So
again, that's the thing. Like,
so yeah,
the Wookiees will die because they're Wookiees. Like, that's what they're meant to do. But if they've done their job for 3 turns solid, then you've got an easier last 3 turns to just finish off the objectives.
The way that I've really struggled against them, and the way my opponents use them really well against me is, yes, they've got really good potential damage output. The duelist on there, when if they spend the aim token, they're getting the PS1, and then spend a dodge and gain immune piercer.
Yep.
They've got potential to dish out some good damage, but it's really the fact that with those 3 wounds each, it just takes a long time to get through them for most units. So they can just take a force user out of the game for 2 or 3 rounds sometimes, which in itself can actually just be really good, and stopping them scoring the objectives or stopping them taking out a more important target for you. So yeah, big fan of the Wookiees.
The way I look at it is an operative Vader without tenacity can only kill 1 Wookiee a turn.
Yeah,
because it's only 5 dice. So
Yeah, if he rolls perfect and you roll
Exactly. Yeah, he's still
and you
going to roll
bad.
perfect.
But I mean,
Good
again,
dice can fail.
you are on those white dice without a
Yeah, no, that,
without a surge. So they are what is it, 1 in 6, I
One in
think,
six,
something
yeah,
like that.
6
So, but yeah, okay, excellent. Well, that puts us up to 662 points. So there's obviously still something else going in here then, Jack.
there
So
is.
what else have we got going on?
We're going to have a big old bus go in there
Excellent.
because we need a delivery system.
I am a fan of a bus. I am absolutely a fan of a bus. What is your loadout for said bus?
Everything goes on it, so we'll have a gonk droid.
Nice.
We'll have a tactician. We will take Shriv, a heavy laser retrofit, and a onboard comms channel.
Well, let's break this down then, because we had somebody running a Scum and Villainy roster, Ellis, and he was using his truck very, very cleverly, but it was not kitted out at all. I think he just had a medic on there. I think he didn't even realise you could take a gun with it at first, I think. What's your, how are you using this then when you're in the game? Obviously transportation, but it can pack quite a punch as well, can't it?
Exactly. I mean, in the early rounds when everyone's positioned, they know what's coming. They know there's going to be a Wookiee jumping out on them, or they know there's a fleet trooper just going to jump out and shoot something. So it tends to be a thing that makes them back off and reconsider if they want to push up. So I had a game at the last LGT where he deployed some clones, but then I deployed a Wookiee bus, and it made him completely pull back on that flank and sort of like hemmed him into the corner a bit, because he just didn't want a Wookiee on phase 2 clash, because it was probably not going to end too well for the clones. So there's that deterrent version of it, and then you can start range 4, getting suppression out. So
because
the gun works. It's magic.
That heavy laser with a critical one, okay, it's only a single rainbow roll, isn't it? But you're likely going to be getting a damage through in against most things, which is nice. And then I gather, and I don't want to put words into your mouth here, but I gather when you running the single commander in Jin, she's off doing her things. That's where Shriv comes in and sort of takes over in that commander role. I gather that's what he's there for.
Yeah, so that he usually backs Jin up turn 1, puts a dodge and a suppression on her, so her danger sense is already in motion. If not, he is. So if you're like on a split hemmed in, he'll be off with the Wookiees and she will have the core.
Right.
And because obviously they don't really need the courage bubble, but the core do, so she'll be doing that and he'll be doing his own thing. But yeah, he's just there to get Duelist online, to get Jin online, and just start pumping out dodges every turn. Because you'll get to that point where you're engaged with the Jedi and you just need that aim, but you also need the dodge to stop the swing back being so devastating. So he can. It's the action economy of him more than anything.
No, absolutely.
Jin can die, so we have a field commander backing up.
Yeah. No, good. Excellent. Well, it looks like, I think you're coming in at 796 there, aren't you, points-wise, which, most people we've had on so far have just used all 800 and said, I don't really care whether I win or lose the thing, which I think is maybe less. I think it's a little bit less relevant than it used to be, the bidding, but it feels like it's sneaking its way back in, especially on the competitive scene, which is probably a nice segue actually. So what successes have you had with this then, Jack, so far? Because you mentioned obviously you was at the LGT, last LGT that was on there. How did that go?
This won me the LGT.
There we go, guys. There we go. The first event-winning roster that we've had on the show so far, and I keep calling it roster, and I mean list.
It's a hard habit to break.
But yeah, so we won't go too far into it. But how did you find that? How did it come about? What did you, what sort of list were you coming up against?
So I came up against 2 Vader triple dewbacks.
Filthy Empire.
Exactly, yeah. And one of them was the final. And again, Jin was key in that because she could she had her danger sense up, she had the dodges up. R2 was in the bus, ready to get for his secret mission, and she managed to just keep out of range of Vader every now and again. And that was what won it there. And yeah, it was interesting because obviously we had COVID, so everyone was a bit up in the air about what was good, but I think dewbacks were the new hotness at the time. So
I can't really comment on anything kind of outside of the past 3 to 6 months because, whilst I kept abreast of what was happening with it, but you don't always know what's good and what's bad. And I'm a firm believer in like trying to build my own stuff as well. Yeah. What I like to do is, and we spoke about this before we started recording. I like watching these kinds of videos, whether it be for Legion or MCP and anything else, and I kind of use them as a template for, okay, this is how a character can work and things. But then over 5, 10, 15 games, you're swapping things out and you're putting your own kind of twist on it. Because I think if you haven't learned how to use a particular setup yourself, then you're never really going to learn how to use it. What about command cards then? Because obviously you're only getting the extra cards from Jin. Yep. So what cards are we bringing along with us?
So we're taking all the Jins.
Makes sense.
I completely rate them. There's an argument for not taking Rebellious, but it's just so good. Like a standby you can't shoot off unless you kill her. Just you get her lodged in that range 2 bubble of someone the turn before. So at the Milton Keynes Grand Tournament that's just gone, double move her turn 2, play this turn 3, charged an Imperial officer, killed that, and then in her activation then charge onto a strike team and kill that. So she can really put in the work and travel up the board using this. Or you use it on recover. Like I said, you drop her in the middle, Cad Bane activates, you bugger off with the box, and he's now got to play catch up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There we go. Yep, so excellent. Okay, Jack, so what other 3 cards are you taking then?
So for this one, it's going to be quite boring, I'm afraid. It's just ambush, push, and assault.
So is there a reason why you would choose them over this sort of rebel equivalent? The sort of the rebel only ones.
The spicy rebel ones. So sabotage communications is fine because we've got special forces and an operative, but I don't like being told I have to order those.
If I need flexibility exactly, to be able to do.
If I need to issue the bus on that turn, I can do it with an ambush.
Yeah, turning the tide. Obviously, you're not a vehicle support. Heavy side of it, so that makes sense. Yeah. The one I am surprised with though is the covering fire. I thought that may have been one that you did go with.
Yeah, I do take that in my Rebel Veteran version, which is because we're trying to get as many dodges onto Han and Chewie and Jin.
Yeah.
But for this one, because I want to keep the Rebel troopers out of sight for the first few rounds, I don't really want to put their head above the parapet, just because they are my last grab on the objectives.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I've just realised I did R2D2 a complete disservice, saying that you only had Jin's cards. You could obviously have chosen R2D2's cards as well. So just for anyone that was going to put it in the comments, yes, I realised I messed up. But yeah.
Again, we're leaving them off because I can't fit a comms relay on.
Exactly.
Otherwise, he'd be there.
Objectives. Which 4 objectives are you looking at?
So first one, key positions, because we've got a big old bus that can just cover one up.
It's mine.
Exactly. And now you chew through my 10 wounds of armor.
With shield as well, by the way, just for added spiciness.
We're going to recover the supplies, just because we've got a lot of wounds on the table. I think I've worked it out to be close to 80 wounds or something like that.
That's quite a lot, isn't it?
It's a lot to chew through. Yeah. I had a game against a hero hammer list, and I won it on key positions, but I only did something like 18 wounds to him, and he did nearly 70 to me.
Look,
So
there's a lot of wounds to get through. I mean, there's
exactly.
3, 6, 9, 12 per unit of Wookiees, and there's 3 of them. So you've got 36 just in 3 units there.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Next one is hostage exchange, which might be uncomfortable for some people because there's no force user.
Did not expect that. Did not expect that at all. And we'll maybe have a little conversation about that because that's an interesting one. Okay, and then what's the final one that you take?
Final one is just sabotage the evaporators.
Okay.
Purely because I've got things that want to come to you where your evaporators are, and then my rebel troopers can do mine.
Yeah.
And now you've got to try and move through my line of Wookiees.
Yeah, to get to them. Deployment-wise, then, what are we looking at? You already mentioned, I think, one of them, which was hemmed in.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's in there. But what are the other 3?
So basically, with this list, you want to force people to come through your Wookiees. So there's no point taking wide deployments. So I take hemmed in, major offensive, rollout, and long march.
Okay.
So
very much.
Short.
Yeah, all the way from one side to the other. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Not how I like to. I like a nice gun line lined up and just
the old battle lines.
Yeah. Pile over to people. Okay, excellent. And then finally the 4 conditions. What are you looking at for here?
Okay, so limited visibility because we want to get in close.
Makes sense. Yeah, with those range 2 fleet troopers and the Wookiees and things, you don't want to let snipers have a field day with you before you even get there, do you, I suppose?
Yeah. Then we're going rapid reinforcements.
Okay.
We can just drop some Wookiees in behind you.
Yeah.
What else was it? Fortified positions.
Okay.
Just so that you can plonk one down, pop Jim behind it. She's good for the game.
Yeah.
And then the last one is supply drop, because there's nothing that Jin loves more than 2 turns of low profile.
Absolutely. So, before we get into your utopia and what it is, really, really interested in the hostage exchange. And for that exact reason that you said there, which is, everyone I've spoke to so far has been, the one thing if I don't have a force user in my team, the one thing I hate is hostage exchange. If they've got a force user, I absolutely love hostage exchange. It's the one that I want. So you're the first person I spoke to who has no force users, but yet still looks at the hostage exchange. So what's the sort of reasoning behind that? What's the plan behind that? How does that work?
So we've got 6 wounds of fleet troopers that love to be in close range, and because you're only moving at speed 1, you 9 times out of 10 can keep yourself in that range 2 for turn 2, shoot their hostage carrier before you then move off again. So then you're chipping the wounds down, and then immediately the bus moves up, and the Wookiees jump out, nick their hostage, and run.
Nice.
If they have a force user, I've got 3 units of Wookiees to surround my guys. And
say, that's
come through these.
A little bit how we spoke about before, wasn't it? Where
Yeah.
I've had them used against me when they tied up my Darth Maul is, it's going to take you 2 or 3 rounds, unless you choose to disengage, to actually, take these down and actually be meaningful for the rest of it. So, okay, cool. I think people at home will really like that, because I think there is and again, it might just be my limited visibility of sort of coming back into the game, but the feeling I was getting was, this is an either-or situation. If you've got a force user, you take it. If you don't, you avoid it like the plague. It's the one card that you make sure that you that you get rid of. And so interesting that you like that one. But I think the logic and what you said there as to how you go about it makes absolute sense. And I think will catch people off guard a little bit as well, to the point where I'd almost be convinced that I wouldn't put it in my list and just really catch, because if somebody sees it in your list, they'll go, okay, he's got a plan for that.
Yeah,
but
exactly. That's
not having it in there makes them go, I'm running Vader or Luke or whoever it is. I'm going to destroy you on this hostage exchange, and all of a sudden the Venga bus of Wookiees comes up pulling up.
Exactly.
they all just pile out and start destroying them. So yeah. But back to that utopia then, Jack. What does that look like for you? If I could say to you, with this list, you could pick whichever 3 cards you wanted to go in, and you know that gives you the best possible chance of being able to win a game. What are the 3 that you're looking at?
So I'm looking at. It's tricky now because with Cad Bane, it used to be recover the supplies, but with Cad Bane being able to do it better, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's sort of taken that out, and I'm leaning towards key positions now.
Okay.
Just because I have that big unit of bus in the bus, and I can just go. Here you are.
Yeah.
Everyone's crowded around it. Hopefully, by that point, I've taken off some activations of yours. I out-activate you, plonk the bus on last, and displace everybody off of it. That's the ideal scenario.
Yeah, and it's very, like you say, it's very different to get through that as well, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And because it's a long base, it's just slightly longer than range 1. So if you're the terrain set up right, you could probably get it to touch 2 objectives.
You heard it here first, guys. If you are in the UK and you come up against Jack and you just see him moving little bits of terrain about ever so slightly,
over there.
you know the reason why now. Excellent. So what's going with that then? What deployment are you looking at for that one?
We're going to stick Long March on there.
Long March?
Yeah, just because then it is narrow and we can deploy the Wookiees quite spaced out along that front.
Yep.
One in the bus. And then there's nowhere you can go on the board that my Wookiees can't get you.
Yeah, because the bus just moves them up and they jump out and
that's it.
Do what Wookiees do best, which is, charge you down and maul you to death, or at the very worst, keep you occupied for a few turns. And then what are we looking at from a scenario? Sorry, look, what are we looking at from the last part then with the 4 that you took?
For the condition, I'm quite partial to supply drop with this list because there's no cards in there that don't benefit you. So you've got the camouflage, Jin loves that. You've got medics, Wookiees love that.
Yeah.
Everybody loves that. Arc welder for the bus. You've got scopes for aims to go on the fleet troopers and Jin. You've got dodges to go on Jin and the Wookiees. It's like there's nothing you can pull and go, oh, I didn't want that.
I didn't really want that. Yeah. I suppose especially with not having the medic on the bus, being able to get this from here for those Wookiees and just keeping them alive that little bit longer is going to be good. So excellent. Well, of the 12 cards then that you've left behind, let's start with the objectives. What are the ones that, and I genuinely thought it was going to be hostage exchange. So you've completely thrown me here now, but with what's left, so you got breakthrough, transmissions, payload, bombing run. What's the one of those that you look at and go, that's the one that I'm going to get rid of? If I don't win priority and my opponent's got that out there, that's the one that I'm going to make sure I don't have to play.
Yeah, bombing run every day. Every day.
Nobody seems to like bombing run.
Definitely not. Not unless you're running speeders or you've got Dawn-Tawns. Just don't touch it.
Yeah, no,
because I don't want to run my Wookiees past you and then go, oh, by the way, I needed to come back and attack you. Like, it's just wasting their time. So
yeah. And then deployment-wise, I mean, I gather I could have a guess, but I'm not gonna. But what's the one that you really don't want to be coming up against with the 4 that you've got left?
I would say battle lines, just because it spreads things out too much. It gives R2 too much opportunity on their side to get into my deployment, or it gives bombing run too much agency to just nip in the end.
Yeah.
And then come and attack me. So I like to keep things clustered,
compact, nice and tight down. Just how I play MCP, murder ball down the middle. Basically,
that's it.
Is what we're saying. Excellent. Okay, and then lastly, then on the conditions, is there one in particular there that you look at and it's just, that's the one I want to try and avoid?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with most of them because I would usually just send Jin round to pop all the mines.
Okay.
because she can just dodge them.
Yeah.
And then that leaves it clear for Wookiees to come through. If the Wookiees want to run through, oh, I've taken a wound, thanks for the tenacity, sort of thing.
Well, yeah, I suppose actually, yeah, it could be in your favour, couldn't it? The minefield
Exactly,
on that side, yeah.
So I would say it's probably war weary because Jin will be off on her own. I want that range 3 so that she can still call back to the rebel troopers, keep them in check, just in case like a mortar hits them or something like that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes absolute sense. Excellent. Well, Jack, I really like the look of this list. It's very much how I like to play games, and I think, as we just mentioned, down the middle, and and I'm not saying that that's the only, it's most definitely not the only thing about this, but a good old fight down the middle. And it's not all just about the range. There's some fisticuffs going in, or Kashyyyk blades even going on in there as well.
Bringing Kashyyyk blades to a gunfight.
Absolutely. Would you say that, or would you say there's anything in here, obviously outside of Jin and maybe R2, that is swappable out, that isn't mandatory? You already mentioned like using, I think you said it was Han and Chewie, or Cassian and K2. You obviously mentioned the Rebel veterans. Is there anything that if somebody was looking at this and going, yeah, I like it, but I just I don't like the fleet trooper side of it, for example. What would you say to people that are looking at sort of taking this but then adapting it for themselves?
Yeah, I would say just drop the core and take 2 units of vets with the heavy and 2 turrets. If you can fit that in, you might need to mess around with like the bowcasters and the truck, but if you can get them in and then feed that dodge out on the 2-pip turn, then it's great.
Yeah.
If you want the Rogue One themed list, go for Cassian K2. If you want a gunslinger who can just run around, take 2 troops off every time he shoots, go for Han.
Take Han Solo with you. He's very good. He's very good as Han Solo now. Yeah, he's very good.
I run a list where it's Jin, Han, Chewie. They all run up together, and then so you play his 0-pip, and everyone goes, "Oh God, he's going to change plans for me next, or he's going to tell me to shoot something else." That's the only card I take for fun. Just shoot him if you want, because he's done his job.
He's done what he was brought here to do. Yeah.
He's taken the 0-pip out. Right, he can die.
So you're at 10 activations, which I think is a good number, and actually a bigger number than what I thought it was going to be when we started loading everything up. Right, that speeder truck is loaded up, the Wookiees are loaded up, Jin is loaded up as well. So I think 10 activations is actually really nice. Is there any other hints, tips, advice that you'd give anybody watching if they're going to take this list away and try it themselves?
Yeah, just be careful with Jin, because she will, if she's focused down, she's going to die. You can have as many dodges on her as you like, but if someone gets hold of her out in the open, or a lightsaber gets hold of her while they're still at full health, you're in a bit of trouble. So try and keep her at 2 suppression. Keeps that danger sense in a nice place in case a sniper shoots her. Keep the dodge on her, and then just wait for that right moment where you're in range 2 of someone who's on low health to then charge them with the rebellious.
Yeah.
Outside of that, play a 3-pip turn 6 and watch everyone go, I can't do anything, you're just going to double move, thanks.
Excellent. Well, Jack, thank you for joining me on this episode of Scum and Villainy. I'm sure everybody at home will really, really enjoy trying this list out. And where can people find you?
So I'm on Instagram, the Pompey Painter, and I also do some contribution for the Spalding Pathfinders as well. They're on Facebook.
Should mention actually as well for everyone at home, Jack, you do commission painting as well, don't you? That's right. Yeah.
So Legion's where I've started out with it, so I'm doing a lot of clones at the moment, and then I've got some Marvel as well sat here.
Excellent.
I'm doing a Malekith at the moment.
We will leave a link down to Jack's Instagram at the bottom below, so you can go and find his work. If you head over to the Discord, There's plenty of pictures of the stuff that he's done on there as well, predominantly MCP. But if you are looking for a very, very good commission painter here in the UK, definitely check Jack out. And yeah, Jack, again, thank you for coming on and joining me. Really, really appreciated. And hopefully I'll speak to you soon.
You shall.
Excellent. Well, there we go, guys. That is Jack's, aka the Pompey Painters Jyn Erso Rebel list. And we did name that Bringing a Reich Blade to a Gunfight, which I think was very, very apt. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you did, please make sure to leave a like on the video. It just really, really helps. And a quick reminder, guys, that we are giving away a Star Wars Legion core box at the moment. So if you want to be in with a chance to win, you need to basically leave a like, make sure you're subscribed, but also leave a comment on this video as well. Now, it is tied in to the Scum and Villainy series that we're doing. We said once we get to episode 10, we will draw a winner for that, but it'll be a video at random that we pick. So your best chance of winning is to go back and watch those other videos as well if you haven't already. Leave us a comment on there, leave us a like on there, and that'll give you the best possible chance of winning. If you do want to support the channel even further, we do have our Patreon up and running now. So anything from £1 a month, and it does really help with the continued running of the channel. And lastly, we've mentioned it already, but go and check out the Discord. There's a whole bunch of Star Wars Legion things on there now as well as some other games. So we've got a lot of Marvel Crisis Protocol, but there's a huge amount of content creators on there and lots of people talking all things Star Wars Legion. As always, guys, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, may the Force be with you.